Okay, so it's a community call. We're gonna have, I guess, short presentation from me about some updates on Fluence Labs site, what has been happening um, last months. Maybe we'll have some updates from team members. I'm not sure yet if anyone would want to talk about anything. And I know that we're gonna have a demo from Morgan, right? Okay, nice, great. Right, then let me share screen. So, like, want to give some context, kind of where we are, where we're going. We had this core team offline summit last month in Georgia in mountains. So we've been discussing a lot of strategic stuff and like next steps, the vision and goals, and some technical details of all of it. So roughly, we basically all aligned that we're trying to make Fluence, like we're kind of inspired by serverless in general. And we always, when we think of Fluence as a kind of solution for the compute, we think a lot of serverless approach to compute in general, because it's abstract out a lot of complexity. And it's very useful to think of how Fluence is going to be used by developers and like understood by developers from the serverless perspective. But serverless is like a huge amount of primitives and tools and like it's a kind of huge stack. A lot of innovation made there in Web2 space, which cannot be like really easily rebuilt in Web3, like from scratch. So we're trying to think on like having serverless as an example here and building our way in order to enable as good as easy developer experience for Fluence that would be like as easy to use as traditional serverless. So like we think of serverless as a kind of reference to what we do. It's not necessarily like exactly the same what we do, like exactly the same thing, right? But it's direction of simplifying developer experience of creating cloud-based tools. We can think of serverless like at Fluence having similar simplification of developer experience of creating decentralized decentralized code execution. So we were thinking like about sort of time horizons and sort of how should we think of experience. We defined this shortest goal, like in November, it was like 4 months. Now it's almost 3 months. It's just exactly 3 months. There are going to be a milestone are going to be a big event in Denver, end of February in Denver, and a lot of like a blockchain, the whole blockchain around that. So we thinking to deliver, to have some big milestone to this date. So to deliver a lot of stuff to this date, and release something, announce something. So we kind of think as the next biggest milestone for Fluence in terms of developer experience and other stuff happening in next 3 months. So yeah, this is kind of like some stuff that just to remind everyone what we're doing here. So we're doing compute infrastructure, which is great because it's decentralized, and decentralization brings you a lot of benefits. And basically, like the idea of decentralized compute infrastructure is that it's based on a trustlessness instead of trust. So it's basically based on verifiability of the computation instead of relying on reputation of the brand, but that's kind of all of those things. The way we now think of Fluence and its kind of big parts is that we're kind of separating the developer platform that we have been working on so far from the computation marketplace, basically the resource market, which the network where people would be able to deploy their applications in the future. So we started working on the compute marketplace as well. We also were working on the DAO implementation in the background. And we want to focus on a couple of basically vertical use case products built on top of developer platform and compute marketplace. So we think of the whole thing that we're doing now here as these 4 pieces right now. But so like most of work so far was done on developer platform side. And some work was done on the DAO side. So right now we totally miss compute marketplace and we miss like vertical use case driven products. So on developer platform, like some context is, if you think of this as with analogy of serverless, we can think of Fluence components that we have also as analogy to some serverless tools, like basically plot functions like Lambda or workers. It's sort of like an analogy to Marine runtime, like the functions in Marine, when you run services in Marine, sort of similar stuff, not the same, different things, but similar. Like Amazon step functions or like workflows or like even concept of REST. We have an analogy in Aqua. Then there is a lot of developer tooling that simplifies experience with working with serverless, like CLIs. So we started building our own CLI, and actually next slide I'll show it to you. And we will need some kind of web console as well to simplify the development. And all the serverless always comes with data. It's like some data storage databases, automatically scalable and stuff like that. So we will need to address this, like how do I actually, should it be any like a standard ways to connect data to whatever code you run on Fluence, whether it's like IPFS or Filecoin or RV or blockchains data or like ceramic, stuff like that. Like a lot of this stuff, whenever you run anything on Fluence as a analogy to cloud functions, you need to get data from somewhere. You need to put data to somewhere. So you always work with data. So we need to really think on how do we integrate data into Fluence. And we have, I will not go into like all details about all the concepts that may be new here. We will be talking about them in the future calls and like releasing more materials about that. But basically we created this concept of subnets, which will be used to create the proper access to data for the Fluence code. And here on this picture, like on the right, it lists some kind of properties of the system that already exists, and this white properties already exist, and orange properties, it's something that we need to work on in order to fulfill our goals and promises to make it like a really powerful compute infrastructure. But this kind of like all of this stuff is just some of this will be addressed in the closest milestone, but some of this is just longer term horizon. So on the CLI part is we actually released Fluence CLI. Now the repo is public. You can find it by this link. You can try it. You can play with it. The idea of the Fluence CLI is basically as serverless CLIs, this one should be the main entry point for developers when you try Fluence. Like it's super easy. It helps you to scaffold the project. It helps you to run tests. It helps you to deploy. But it will be dramatically improved. We're gonna work on CLI next 3 months, like really a lot. And we're gonna design like the whole experience of managing your project lifecycle with the CLI. And it will include payments. So basically right now it's purely development tool. Like right now Fluence network is non-centralized, right? So there's no payments at all. But like when we introduce payments, we need to connect this CLI tool to the payment. So whenever you deploy, you have to specify the way how you're gonna pay to the node where you deploy. So for payments, we have a lot of new concepts that were not also discussed or announced anywhere before. We're working on the whole economics paper, but like roughly the picture here is we're gonna have proofs of computation. They're gonna be different. They're gonna be they're gonna rely on different parts of Fluence stack. So they're gonna be probabilistic proofs for execution, like let's say like a probabilistic verification of aqua execution. There are gonna be proofs for marine execution. And we are researching towards proofs of compute capacity as well, because we want to, when we build the economic part of the network, we want to incentivize not only executing the real jobs, but also like incentivizing bringing more capacity to the network, even if it's not busy with some real jobs. So we want to incentivize the capacity that gonna join to the network, because we want to build the big compute network that is that can attract users, because like it's it's widespread, it has a huge capacity and stuff like that. So we have some concepts here. I'm also not gonna go into a lot of details about that. We're gonna have the on-chain compute marketplace where providers would be able to register. They would be able to enter into deals with customers, and they would have to provide proofs of their work when they serve the work expected by the contract, in order to withdraw money. So in order to earn money, they would have to prove that they actually working. From the developer perspective, it all will be linked to the tooling, so it will be linked into CLI. So for the user, it would be very, very similar how they using the web to cloud. So they connect account, they scaffold projects, they deploy, they manage their deployments. Like all of this potentially should be doable. Yeah, and so finally, this is how we see the next big steps, big deliverables that we're going to have in 3 months. So we are focusing on delivering first version of the payment system and proofs of computations. So it's first version of Compute Marketplace on testnet. We dramatically improving developer platform by unifying all the experience with improved CLI, and it's gonna be documented. So we will have the iteration on the documentation. So we'll have better communication materials and education materials. And if we're lucky and have time, we're gonna deliver one of the use cases, but that's something it's still under construction and a lot of discussion. So it's a kind of bonus point. We'll see how it goes in next months. Yeah, so that's it for me. I hope that was helpful, just as in some updates what have been happening here. Any questions, concerns, or ideas? All right. If no questions, actually, I wanted to ask if anyone from the team on the call want to also share some updates here.
I actually did have a question. I was wondering if I can ask it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm wondering if for the payments, what blockchain is it going to be on? Is it going to be like integrated with Ethereum or some other blockchains or like multi-chain?
Yeah, so there is a discussion related to it. We are looking into right now. There's kind of several parts of it. The Compute Marketplace requires cheap transactions, so we are looking at several solutions. One of the solutions is Aurora and Near, because we need to run our Aqua VM on chain to verify some of the particles. And for this, we need WASM on chain, which, like, for example, Near provides. But on the other hand, we need EVM because we want users to use like basically standard sort of wallets like MetaMask. So we want user to like use whatever wallet they use, and don't think about which blockchain being used under the hood for like providing this marketplace functionality. So, and Aurora and Near allow you to basically have EVM smart contracts that call the Rust code that executed on the Near node. So that's option number one. The option number two is FVM, which is Falcon VM. They have also both EVM and Rust and WASM execution there. So we're looking into it. It's a little bit early. I know that they are targeting full-featured EVM to be released in also around ETH Denver. But like we need to figure this out. At the moment, it's not fully clear if it's be sufficient for our needs at this stage. So like it's anyway kind of some sort of hybrid solution because we need both Rust and EVM. Yeah. So Manu asking in the chat if I can share the link to the paper of full processing. Not yet. So it's right now the document that is work in progress. But roughly, basically, the idea of processing is processing means like processing particles like Aqua, requests generated by Aqua. So the whole network, what it does basically is like process the particles, right? And then particles do some function calls on the peers, which is marine. So that's why we kind of separate this processing from execution. So execution is marine and processing is Aqua. So the proof of processing is something that is going to work the way that there are going to be some randomness coming from the on-chain that would basically define which particles have to be submitted on-chain for verification. So we're going to verify on-chain, but we're not going to verify every particle. So like because like particles like requests, right? Like there in the live network, there could be like thousands of applications and billions of particles, right? So, and if you like, it's just economically doesn't make any sense to verify all of them by some external actors. So we got to this model of probabilistic verification where the on-chain randomness says, okay, you can earn money if you submit a particle on-chain that fits certain criteria, and nodes just have to find such particles among what they have, and among what they serve during the time they serve the application. And then if they submitted nodes who basically participated to create this particle, they get rewarded if this particle is valid. So I also like don't want to go too deep into details because it's some at the moment is not like a fully defined concept, but it is a little like a bit similar to things like probabilistic payments. I think some projects were experimenting with this earlier, like in earlier years. Like I think LifePeer did that, and who else was it? Like Swarm, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's like basically like all always the same system when you have some way to define a system when you do not verify every job piece. You create the rules that if everyone behaves honestly, they will have to only submit for verification some parts of their job in order to earn money. And if they submit something incorrect, they're gonna lose some stake, something like that. So that's sort of like source of probabilism here. All right. On other developer updates, do we have anything else? Yes. Oh, I'm muted. I was asking a question like if we have any other updates on the development side. Okay, then I guess we can have demo from Morgan.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Morgan. For other people that don't know, I've been in and out of the community here and there over a few different hackathons. And I've come to a conclusion on a product or an idea concept that I'm exploring currently, and I'm using Fluence for the project. And yeah, I can share my screen. Let me know when you can see the my screen.
Yep, can see.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a tarot card application, and it's not fully complete yet, but it's really close to the first milestone where I'm having some issues with integrating into DeFi integrations. But I have a good chunk complete for the Fluence integration, where I'm doing two things. The first thing is I'm sourcing the randomness from a time to live particle on the network, and I'm using that for the randomization poll of the tarot cards. And then I'm doing another thing where you're able to share your cards with another person via text. And it goes under something like a poll model where actually I have I made a little demo. I think this will be useful for other people if you can still see my screen. Uh, can you see my screen? Yeah, so basically, there's first there's a renderer where you set your phone to the phone call or the phone text, just your phone number, and then you input the phone and it writes the peer to local storage. So basically everything I'm doing right now is just with local storage. There's no blockchain associated, so anyone can run this, and it's just using the Fluence network for the time being. And then the idea is that it would render on the screen, and you would share by clicking on the spirit, what we're calling it, a particle, and then the cards get shared, which I'll show you in a second. But that's the basic premise. That's I think the cool thing that could be replicated for other people in the Fluence ecosystem. Maybe that there's like a service, like a texting service that exists in the Fluence ecosystem would be really cool. So yeah, we'll go ahead and first thing you do is you choose a card deck. There's the standard deck, and there's another deck that's a deck that's being developed. But the idea is to have many different types of decks that you can incorporate into the mix. Would someone like to choose which deck? This is basically, if you don't know tarot cards are useful tools and affordances for guiding yourself spiritually. And the Rider Waite deck, with the magician here, there's not that much explainer stuff right now. Typically, I'm thinking that it's more for like people that are really involved in the ecosystem for this to be marketed towards for the start, and then it'll be more explainable as more people jump on or want to get involved or play around. But the magician deck is a little bit more externally focused. It has people associated with it. It has like events or types of collaboration. And then there's this other deck, which is more associated with like UTFs or little logos generated, some generated from AI. And it's a deck that I'm putting together right now with some other people. Would someone like to choose which deck because it's kind of ceremonial for like a demo. Would someone like to choose which deck we will want to use?
Let's do the right one.
Okay, let's do the right one. So there's only 5 cards in this deck right now, but there will be more, up to 15 in the future. So this is not fully integrated, but the idea is for there to be, for this deck, because it's I'm developing with some other people, it's a stream of approximately 5 cents per hour, which equates to about $36, I think, per month. I could be wrong with that calculation, but I just like the fact that I'm from Canada. So it just, on the 5-cent nickel, there's a beaver, and beaver stands for teamwork in this sort of spiritual realm. So I think that that's significant. So yeah, we'll pull the cards. Hopefully this works. Yeah, it works. So I can choose between strength in the past. You can see the icons, community stroll in the present, where you see some more icons, or shared emotion for the future. So for this, Evgeny, would you like to choose something, or would you like me to choose for you? Or yeah, if you want to choose one, or we didn't really set an intention, but I guess like just good success with the project would be cool. And I see everything that you're doing in the ecosystem, and I wish everything the best. Like,
Okay, let's take the middle one.
okay, the middle one, community stroll. Okay, so after this call, maybe we'll all go for a community stroll outside and see what happens. So I click the stake button, and then I see stake. So this is where there would be an integration with a protocol, like a liquidity protocol, like AP Wine or some other thing. But right now, it has a cool feature where with AP Wine, we're basically making a stake. So I can put money down on this community stroll. And if I want, I can redeem the future interest of the yield generated from the protocol. So if I had a goal in mind, like let's say after I take my community stroll and I decide that I want to, save some money or put some money down towards a new hat or something like that, or something more, aligning with like my friends, like I'm going to put money towards like a potluck or something like that. I can deposit some money, and right now this doesn't work, but it is connected. Like it pulls the different futures. Oh, maybe it's not connected right now. Then maybe there might be an error in the. Yeah, there's an error. That's okay. It would just pull the number of different liquidity pools, but it'd be cool right now. Just I want to mention, coming from the tarots, um, there's only 15 pools in the AP and wine ecosystem, and it'd be cool if there was another pool because that would make it 16, and 16 represents the tower, and or 17 would be better for the star, but the 15 represents the devil. So maybe people want that, or maybe we want more liquidity pools. Who knows? So I'm going to skip this part, and I'm going to go to my gallery where I've chosen from past card pulls in a way that cyclically brings things together with the different card decks. And I can see my Arcana Light, um, which basically represents like how much it's kind of like a health metric for an individual if they're practicing tarot and they want to get online with like, oh, you know, how staked am I in the past or in the present or in the future? So they go down as you stake more cards into each slot. So when you first pull a card and you're fresh, it'll fill up. Um, yeah, so I can email the cards to myself. I won't show that for now, but basically it just does a download and uploads to your email, and it'll have the time that you pulled the cards, that you can share as well. So I can do this right now, or I can share via text, where I can. I guess I'll just use my phone number for now. So via text, I can send this message, and I'll actually. What you can do is if I send it in the chat, you can have all the other people download it too. Would you like me to do that? Would that be cool if you can do that through the Fluence network?
How you want to do it again? Sorry.
If there's a chat here, I can post the link. I have the email, or sorry, I have the server running in ngrok.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, it'll just take 1 second. I hope is this like are there any questions so far while this email is sending?
Well, I'm curious uh, actually how this is this when you send email or like text message. Are you using Fluence as a part of this process, or how
Right
does it?
right now I'm not. But what I'm doing is I'm using a Web2 server, which ideally it'd be cool. Like that was a bit of the preface at the start. Like if this was a hosted application on a computer, and it can be hosted in a secure way where the connection to the browser is authenticated and you're not sharing text messages over the line. with the Fluence node. I think that would be pretty cool. Oops. Not that anymore. Why go there? Sorry.
Well, I mean, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, would love to see the Fluence part of it, because like, yeah, you can do sharing of this stuff over peer-to-peer network with Fluence. That's gonna be really interesting.
Okay.
So seeing some potential here.
Yeah, I think that there's I think the sharing thing is really cool. So when I just get this link, I can send it to you and you guys or you folks can all try downloading. As long as basically when I click this connect button, it registers, it does a register to the Hello Peer example that you've shared online. And then when you click, like these are just past things, but when you click on the spirit, let's see if it came in. No, not yet. Sorry, this is not a great demo. I'm getting, oh, I sent it to the wrong email.
Well, no problem. We actually have one more demo today.
Okay.
So maybe like we can do the other demo, and like if you can manage the link, you can just send it to the chat.
Yeah, this should. Okay. Just give it maybe 20 more seconds and. Okay, here's the link. So it should work as long as I click this connect button and within a certain time frame. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe this is a good question for the team. Like when I click this connect now, if you go to that page, if you open it up, and you click on at the bottom, I think that there's a rook, a chess piece, or a horse, knight. Did it open up?
I opened the link, but I'm not sure if it works.
Can you see the gallery or an empty gallery at the top?
Actually, I don't, but I think people
Yes, it
see.
did open. Okay. And if you click on at the bottom, click on um, the knight sign, the chess piece. It did open. Can you? Okay, we've got Mood Ekbal here. Sorry if I didn't say your name properly. I do apologize, but I'm just wondering if the cards were able to display. It's just cool if it was a live thing that worked. I've only ever tested with one other person, so it's kind of a cool. Yeah. Okay. No one's responding. No problem. That's the basic demo, but how would that work if Evgeny, what you're saying with the texting as a Fluence service, is that possible to do?
Well, I mean, that's possible if you do it in like if you have the adapter, you basically need to have some node that have the WASM adapter to external text API, like some, you will not avoid having some Web2 legacy API that provides you access to sending text messages, but you can use Fluence to discover and call this API, like if you have the Fluence adapter to that.
So I know that with Wasm you can't send networking requests. How would I mean, like I can ask these questions offline, but
Yeah,
um,
that's where you just need to use CURL. Uh, so you have the you
oh, you just
create
use the
the
URL, the curl
yeah
adapter.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this is how
Oh, you're
like
still
this is how Fluence nodes can access Web2 APIs.
okay. So I would still have to host right now I'm using the Twilio API.
Yeah, so you can have the you can create the WASM that basically it's some sort of wrapper on top of Twilio API that uses curl to do the actual HTTP requests.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, if I did that in Rust, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, I won't take any more time, but I hope the project is called Read. Um, and hopefully it will be distributed to the ClearNet. I'm having issues with hosting. So alternatively, it'll be distributed through the Urban Network, most likely too. But the idea is to make it and get into the hands as many people as possible. So really, I have a bit of censorship issues with my hosting providers. So if I can get a better hosting provider, it might be a lot easier.
yeah. I mean, sure. Like uh, if you deploy like this adapter for Twilio and other backend Fluent services that you using to current Fluent nodes, it should work.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
so feel free to do it. Okay,
All right, thank
then
you.
yeah, thanks Morgan. That's a great demo. Um, we have also cross game team, right?
Yes, hello. Is my voice clear?
Yes, I think we can hear you.
Okay, so hello. I am from Team Cross Game. So my name is Muhammad Iqbal, and my other team is also TL, as you can see, TL. So we are from Malaysia. So I would like to say thank you to the Fluence team for organizing a Web3 hackathon. And actually, this is our first time entering a Web3 hackathon, to be honest. So yeah, so the problem statement that was given during the hackathon was to create a tool or a to create a tool or a pattern that makes developers easier to use Fluent. So the one that we provide is to use Socket.io in between from the client side and with the service. So during our time using Fluence, we do notice that the Aqua has some difficulties to run with certain dependencies. And we were thinking like, how about we just use like Socket.io in between so that the client side can communicate or use with the Fluence. So as you can see here, this is the architecture flow. Oh, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Share screen share. Can everyone see my screen?
Mm.
So
Yep.
yes, so yeah, this is the architecture flow. So actually, it's quite simple. I know that Fluence itself can do a lot more stuff, but then, yeah, we try to show an example on how this can help for other game dev or other client side to be able to use Fluence. So yeah, and then here's a demo. So the demo that we want to show our idea is that for the cross game is that there are two separate games which is created using Phaser. So Phaser uses this what we call package manager called the I can't remember the name. But then we noticed at that time it has some difficulties to run with Aqua. And inside here we also have a decentralized profile. So this is okay. Oh, it will connect all this, the MongoDB, the Covalent, the Polygon to make the we call the request and to handle the data. So So yeah, let me just run the video. So as you can see here, this is the decentralized profile, and we have two separate games. So in here, I'm connecting to the system with my MetaMask wallet. And currently I'm opening up I can open the two separate games. So the two separate games has its own default weapon, as you can see here. And inside here, this one you can see the inventory. So the inventory is supposed to be the NFTs that I get when I buy it from the separate games. So when I buy a weapon from the other games, so as you can see here later on, the weapons will be shown here. So the moment I use these weapons, it will be affected throughout all the games that are connected through the Sokai.io. So to be honest, for it doesn't have to be Sokai.io. It can actually be also other stuff. Maybe for the between, maybe it can be an API and other stuff. It doesn't have to be Sokai.io. So the reason why we do this is just to show that there's a way to make it easier for other game dev or for other client side to be able to use Aqua and Fluence actually. So yeah, that's actually the for the demo. So you can see here the process inside the Aqua and the process of Fluence inside here. And one other reason also why we want to use Fluence is because we are amazed at the feature that Fluence or Aqua is able to make parallel requests, which we found it, amazing to be honest. And yeah, that's the demo from us. Thank you. Hello.
So can you show the slide number 5?
Slide number 5. Yeah, here. This is the one. Oh, sorry. Resume share. So can you see my
Right.
screen?
Yeah, so I want to better understand like what's the Socket.io role here and how it's connected to Fluence.
So, so how to say? Okay. So Phaser, the game that we use is Phaser. So to run Phaser, we need to use what you call the package manager called Webpack. So when we compile the game and when we try to implement Aqua inside it, we notice that the Fluence doesn't work with Webpack. It shows an error. So from there we know. So when we found this error, so it becomes a problem for us to directly implement the Fluence or Aqua inside the game itself. So that's why we make an intermediate between in a bridge where Socket.io becomes the one to call the services from the Fluence network. So when game one, let's say when game one wants to connect to the MongoDB through the using Aqua, so the gamer will send the request to Socket.io, and then the Socket.io will run the Aqua to search for this service through the Fluence network. Is my explanation clear?
Okay, yeah, that all right. Okay, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah,
And
and actually this one doesn't have to be Socket also. It can also be an API using Node.js, Express, but yeah, we actually just want to show uh, a pattern on how to make it easier to implement. And also, yeah, that's actually the reason. Yeah, yeah. So, is there any questions on about the flow that we come up with?
actually, I'm curious what's the nature of this bug with Webpack.
Yeah, so we to be honest, we did ask the community inside Discord about this, but then it seems that there's no answer about this one. So that's why for now we run it with Sokai.io. If I'm not mistaken, it says that inside Webpack it cannot handle big integer number if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's why decide to use this kind of pattern to implement how to use Fluence with this, they call these client sites.
Actually, Pavel, I think Pavel on this call. Pavel, do you know what was the nature of this bug? Is it the one that basically would be addressed by putting Fluence JS and CDN? Pavel is not responding. All right, we will need to probably take a look again on this, because like ideally, I mean, it's good to use Fluence from some sort of proxy as Socket.io here. But ideally, like, you know, you should be able to use it from the client, like from the game.
Supposedly. Yeah,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Bernard, you have any question?
Oh, and yeah, by the
No,
way,
I'm good.
I also
But
make a
if you
article.
could in Discord just point out the message you had about the Webpack stuff that wasn't answered, and just
Yeah, can.
repost it so we can look at it.
Yeah, I can. It will be great actually. We also want to use Fluence directly to the game also actually, if can, if possible, yeah. So later I will try to ask again inside the Discord
Ask you
for that
again.
one.
Just
Yeah, I can.
okay.
And also, actually, I make an article about how to implement Socket with Fluence.js, as you can see here. So inside here, also make what you call a brief explanation on what Fluence is. So if possible, maybe I can ask some feedback from the Fluence team whether my understanding about Fluence is correct or not. Is it possible? Maybe I can share the link here.
Sure. Yeah. Can you share the link
Absolutely.
now here?
Yeah, I can. Where was the text message? So yeah, that's the one. So if maybe my understanding is wrong or there's some misunderstanding, yeah. So yeah, maybe the Fluence team can tell me and I will try to update my article.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. Looks great so far, but need to review. All right, thanks so much for the demo. So I guess we are perfectly perfect timing. So we have 3 minutes left. And if there are any other questions, ideas, concerns.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Currently, right now, I'm trying to explore about Aqua FS. So then, I also currently trying right now. I'm trying to deploy my own Aqua FS because I try to make some modifications. I try to add some existing IPFS LI, but currently I'm having trouble to understand on how for me to deploy my own service of Aqua IPFS. So is there maybe like a what you call maybe a description or maybe a tutorial on how I can run my own Aqua IPFS? Maybe.
There's no tutorial per se. You can follow tutorials on how to deploy services in general. It's all the same mechanics. Or you can try to use Fluence CLI, which has a rather big README and usually guides you through deploying services. But there are some harsh edge cases you might run into. So those two are your best options right now. If you want to deploy on the network, on the existing nodes, if you want to deploy on your nodes, that's a different story and might be easier for you.
Ah, I see. So I just need to write to use the command deploy for me to deploy my own service, correct?
Say again?
So I just need to use the command. If I'm not mistaken, inside the Fluence I have a command called deploy. So it means that I need to use that command to deploy my own service.
Yeah. The hardest part would be to lay out directories correctly and write configs. They're generated some kinda, but you still will have to like understand how to put everything in place because there's
Oh,
still
I see.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that the Aqua FS is a multi-module service. So yeah, I'm still trying to find a way on how to deploy using the Aqua CLI actually, the Fluence CLI actually.
Yeah, multiple modules, they are kind of combined in the single service through blueprints, but yeah, it's not easy right now. So if you try to use Fluence CLI and if you share your tryings on GitHub, I will be able to help you.
Ah, I see. Can. I will try to send a message to Discord for this one. Can.
Yeah, good.
On Discord, you handle this full office, right?
Yeah, I actually follow first.
Yeah. So you guys were already on that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
we are.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, there's nothing for me anymore.
Right then. Thank you so much for coming. It's been great call, great demos. Thank you guys a lot. And see you all in Discord and Telegram and next energy call. All right. Have a great night or day or weekend. Okay. Bye-bye.